I also want to make this very important point, that obviously once we get to 70% double dose vaccination, we've outlined the freedoms that exist for vaccinated people. However, don't assume that at 80% double dose vaccination, that unvaccinated people are going to have all those freedoms. I want to make that point very clear. The government is yet to finalise its plans in relation to what happens at 80% double dose. And our key message is come forward and get vaccinated, because once we start opening up at 70% double dose vaccination, the higher the rate of adult coverage of people 16 and over that are vaccinated, the better it is for all of us. Now, currently that figure is at 78.5%. By the time we start opening up, we would like to see that figure at 85% or even closer to 90%. Now, that is our hope, because that gives that extra level of protection, because there is no doubt that once we start reopening, those that are unvaccinated are especially vulnerable. So I'm appealing to all of you, to everybody, to make sure in your circle of friends or family, if you know of anybody that's unvaccinated, please make sure they come forward and get vaccinated. Importantly, for those aged 16 years and over, Pfizer is now available, as we know. Young adult or 16 to 18-year-olds can only accept Pfizer. Pfizer is now available from GPs across the state, which is positive news. And in fact, we want to encourage all those Year 12 students and Year 11 students who are eligible to come forward and get vaccinated, to give that extra bit of protection for older adolescents and younger adults. But we also want to make sure that everybody is clear that from today and next week, for 12 to 15-year-olds, Pfizer is available at GPs, and from next week, Moderna will be available at pharmacists for young children aged between 12 and 15. So we really want parents to take up this opportunity to vaccinate their children, so that by the time we go back to school, not only will we have high vaccination coverage for adults, but we'll also start to see some vaccination coverage for 12 to 15-year-olds as an additional safeguard. So these are additional safeguards that we want our community to have by the time we start reopening. But I want to stress again, for those of you who choose not to be vaccinated, that's your choice, but don't expect to do everything that vaccinated people do, even when we hit 80%. And I want to make that very clear. Our strong message today from the public health team, from myself and the New South Wales government, is come forward and get vaccinated, because all of us fear what will happen to those around us who aren't vaccinated, but also please think about our hospital staff and those that have to take care of people with COVID. We want to protect them as much as we protect each other and our loved ones. And the hospital system will come under increasing stress once we start opening up if there are too many people that are unvaccinated. And again, on that point, I want to stress that as our state moves towards those high vaccination rates, as we see some communities in Western Sydney, for example, get vaccination rates to around first dose 89-90%, which is outstanding, that means that there are pockets of our community which are well below the state average. And today I want to welcome Danielle Austin, who's at St Vincent's Hospital. She's one of the wonderful registered nurses there, and she's in charge of managing the vaccination program for that hospital, but also in managing the mobile vaccination van that goes out to support vulnerable people in our community, to ensure that we have outreach programs as well as just in-reach programs to cover off anyone vulnerable in the community. And finally, I just want to again say to everybody that as we approach those targets, all of us can be hopeful. But our reopening is based on the premise that all of us are responsible, safe and cautious during this time. All of us are looking forward to doing those things we can't currently do, but all of us will move together safely and cautiously, respecting the health orders and appreciating that whilst ever people remain unvaccinated, they remain more vulnerable and more susceptible to the ravages of this very serious illness. I'll ask Dr McAnulty now to give his update. Then Danielle Austin will explain to us the important outreach program for vulnerable communities as an example of how we need everybody to catch up to the state average to make sure there aren't pockets of unvaccinated people who are vulnerable. And then we'll take your questions. Thank you.